For this delightful decor project, you'll need some wooden bits from the thrift shop. Now, I always like to pick up the kind of wooden plates, bowls, vases, pepper mills even, and even candle holders that have definitely seen better days, because you know what? We can upcycle and transform these items into something absolutely fabulous. First step is to simply decide what part is going to go where on your stand. So of course, we're going to put the largest plate on the bottom. Next, I'm going to take apart my pepper mill. I think we can just unscrew that. Haha. Now, because all of these items do have some kind of paint or lacquer coating on them, I am just going to go and give a very good sanding to each of the items so the paint will adhere better to the wood. So now all of my items have been sanded, rinsed, and dried, and now it's time to go outside and paint them. So here's just a few quick spray painting tips that I have gathered throughout the years. Now, I rarely, if ever, actually buy drop cloths, especially for smaller items, because I much prefer to use sturdy cardboard. I hold on to cardboard boxes and just cut off a piece when I need it. And I find that the cardboard really makes it easier to slide and turn the items if needed, as well as even pick up the items and kind of use it as a tray if I have to move them for any reason. And lastly, be sure to spray multiple thin coats to avoid drips, bubbles, and cracks in the finished dried paint. All of my items are painted and dry, so now it's time to stick them all together. And then I have my piece of a pepper mill, and then on top of that, I'm going to put my kind of next largest piece, and then my little vase on top of that, and finally the last smallest bowl. I like to apply my glue kind of in the center of the items as well as all the way around the outside edge, plus then some in the center of my bottom plate here. And this is just quite sturdy all-purpose glue. And then I'm going to kind of find the right place and stick it down. Once you have all of your items stuck together, then pop it in an out-of-the-way place so it won't get knocked over, and allow it to dry and set overnight. Didn't this come out just so adorable? And I did actually add some vintage trim on the center tier just to, you know, tie it all together, and I think it matches perfectly. I love this so much, and I love it so much that I made another one too. Absolutely adorable and so perfect for holding all of my kiddos' little bits and bobs and accessories. I love these so much, and they're so simple to make from items found at the thrift shop.
It is super easy to make one of these high-end trays. All you have to do to start is I'm going to tip my tray over, and I want to start by gluing these onto the bottom of my tray. So I'm going to take some wood glue here, and I'm just going to put a nice amount of glue on the bottom of my feet here. And then I'm going to line them up with the edge. There's a little lip around the edge of my tray, so I'm just going to line them up there and press them down. Now that I've got all 4 feet on, I'm going to go ahead, lay a book on top of this, and just let them dry until that wood glue is dry. Now that the wood glue has had time to dry, I'm going to remove my book here that was holding these down, and I'm going to get ready to create the rest of my beautiful sand textured tray here. So for the next step, I'm going to use a product by Fusion that's called Sandstone Texture. If you don't happen to have sandstone texture, you can always use regular paint and just add some sand to your paint, and that's going to give it that same kind of gritty texture. So I'm going to paint this all over my tray, and this will be the first layer, and it's going to give it that beautiful look of stone when I'm done. And when I have sufficient on the top, I'm just going to turn this over, and I'm just going to use a container here to pop it onto for the moment, and then I'll go back and just fix that under the other side. But I'm going to put this stone texture all over this side as well. I'm not going to put it on the very bottom of the feet, the part that touches the table, just so that I can keep this level when I turn it back over. But I will put some around the sides here. Now that the texture is dry on my tray and it's got this beautiful kind of gritty texture to it, almost like a stone would, it's ready to paint. I'm going to set that aside. Now, because it's going to have the look of stone, I want it to be kind of a grayish color as well. Just a hint of gray so that it's got that texture and look of stone. So I'm going to take some of my craft paint here. I'm going to pop it in the tray. And you can add anything to make this look a little grayer. I'm going to use a little bit of milk paint here. I'm going to pop in just a hint of black, but you could use craft paint if you have it. And I'm going to start really small and just start with a little bit here to mix it up. I'm just going to mix in that little bit of milk paint powder, and I can always add more as I go, but I don't want to start by overloading my paint with the black. So, okay, I think that's good. I'm really actually liking the texture that this has in it. So, and I'm going to start by doing the bottom of my tray. So I'm going to turn this over. Remember, we put the feet on the bottom of our tray, and I'm just going to start painting this on. And you can see here, and I'm going to go right over the little feet. I don't have to do that very top section that sits on the table, but I'm going to do the rest. And actually, if you can see all that beautiful texture in there, I'm really liking that. And it's just kind of a little bit of an off-white kind of gray color now, so it's perfect. It's exactly the color that I was hoping for. Okay. And I'm going to flip that over, and I'm going to do the same to the top now. And I'm going to add just a little bit more paint in there. There we go. So we're just going to let that dry, and I'll be back in just a few minutes. So the paint is all dry now on my tray, and I'm actually going to leave it like this. I'm not going to put anything else on it because I actually really like the texture that's been created with the stone surface here and all these little bits. It feels like a rough stone plate. So I'll be back in a second to show you where I'm going to use this in my home. I am absolutely thrilled with how this project turned out. This $2 thrift store find now looks like a high-end stone tray that I paid a lot for. It was so easy to create, and I hope that the next time you're at the thrift store, you'll be inspired to pick up any sort of tray, whether it's metal, glass, or wood, and make your own stone tray. I'm Lisa from Recreated Designs. Thank you for watching Home Talk. I'll see you next time.